So thank you so much for joining the Wellness Hub. And would you introduce yourself to the lovely audience and your wisdom and your grace and, your beauty? Can you please introduce yourself?
Well, I'm Don Fries, co-founder with my wife Bev of Healthy World Sedona, and within the last 5 years, the Healthy World Vitality Plan.
I'm Bev Bow, and here with my partner. And this has been a labor of love for us for really since we moved here to Arizona. In some ways before that, but it's been an ongoing journey for us, I guess, in evolutions.
The nonprofit we started initially 9 years ago was Healthy World Sedona, which the mission of which is to improve human, planetary, and animal health and welfare through a whole food, plant-based lifestyle. So all three factors. And then when COVID hit, which we were just discussing, we could no longer have large conferences, 700, 800 people in our Performing Arts Center. So we switched to more of a virtual program via Zoom, much like this. And it's actually been better for us. And we're focusing largely on healthy human lifestyle.
Right. So how did you guys get into it, Bev? I know you guys, I heard a little bit of your journey of getting together, the meeting, and then coming to Arizona. Was there something that you guys came together and said, oh man, I like this? Or was it an event that happened in your lives? Like, how did you guys come about in this wonderful organization?
Well, maybe we could start with Don's story because mine came later, but.
Right. I mean, this was back in the mid-'80s, and I was eating a pizza one Friday evening with fellow coworkers out in the state of Washington. And I was watching this big glob of cheese dripping off the end of the pizza, and I said, something's wrong with this. I don't think this is really healthy, but I didn't. And then about a year later, I ran into Dr. John McDougall's first book, which is called The McDougall Plan. And, he described how his initial assignment as a young doctor was on a sugarcane plantation in Hawaii. And he noticed that the elderly Filipino and Japanese and other workers there, 90, 100 years, hale and hearty, no obesity, diabetes, heart disease, cancer, and cognitively clear, even at age 100. But he noticed their children, and especially their grandchildren, who had adopted the standard American lifestyle, had the same rate of obesity and diabetes and all these problems as the average American. So he knew it wasn't genetic, it was lifestyle. Right. So he dedicated the rest of his career in the just north of San Francisco, in a clinic to teaching that lifestyle. And fast forward a few years, I met Bev, and
quite a few years.
Yeah, quite a few years because. Go ahead and tell the story.
Well, so I lived my life much like any other American. I think I actually worked in the healthcare industry, but not as a clinician. I was on the administrative end of a hospital system. But I thought I knew what health was and what healthy eating and living was. My first husband passed away. He was a type 1 diabetic, and he died at age 59. And so I was going along with my life, and then I did meet Don. I was doing okay, but I was lonely. So I meet this guy, and I was interested in him, but he had this one thing, which is he was not only vegan in terms of how he ate, but passionately so. And I just thought, this is not going to work. I mean, I could tell, and I thought one of us has to change. And I was really thinking it should be him, which, I thought he was a lovely person, but misguided, frankly, in my arrogant sort of way. And so I did ask him. I said, "Well, what is this thing? Is this your religion? What, because he had such passion about it." And he said, "Oh, no, it's science." And I thought, aha. I said, "So if I found science that contradicted you, you'd change it?" He said, "Oh, yeah." And I thought, all right, that's not going to be hard. Because I really thought he was, just doing his best, but poor guy, he didn't understand. And so I started reading, and that was my downfall or salvation, however you want to look at it.
Right.
I realized, oh, why did I not know this? He's right. The first book I read was The China Study by Dr. T. Colin Campbell, which is he was and is still emeritus, a professor at Cornell University in nutrition science. And, it was eye-opening and shocking. And I even went to the chief medical officer at the hospital where I worked because he was a voracious reader. And I said, would you read this book and tell me what's wrong with it? Yes, still in that mindset of this can't be right. And he read it and he says, I can't find anything wrong with it. So anyway, that set me off, and I said, okay, I guess I'm the one that's going to change here. So I did. And fast forward a bit till we we were in Oregon for a while longer. We did get together, and but ultimately we retired from our jobs and moved here to Arizona. And that was really, we had about a year here. We wanted to contribute to the community in some way, but we didn't really know what. And we were just kind of getting to know people and how things worked here. And ultimately, we landed on starting this nonprofit called Healthy World Sedona. And we brought some people together and said, what could we do that could make a difference in the world around these issues of human health and planetary health and environment and the animals of the world. And so they named the group really, I was just thinking something Healthy Sedona, and they said, well, what about Healthy World? And I thought, wow, we're talking about the world?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. I mean, it just broadened my thinking immediately to we could have influence beyond here. And I think initially it was pretty much here until what Don described with COVID, where we ended up moving to a virtual platform and actually kind of realizing that name.
We're in 38 states now, I think, and 5 countries, whatever. So we're broadening out just like you are, with your podcast. It gives you a much further reach.
Right. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the nonprofit and people seeking, are you educating? I know you're educating people, training. Like, what does that look like if somebody was interested in your nonprofit, right? What are the different ways somebody could participate?
Initially, as we said, we had major conferences each year, 2 days for medical professionals, and then 2 subsequent days, contiguous days for the general public. And we used some of the same speakers, the physicians and others that we flew in from around the country. And that worked pretty well, at least in a short-term basis, because people would come to these conferences, they say, oh, geez, I met Dr. Esselstyn or Dr. Greger or some of the other very luminary type of people, and they get all excited and they adopt the lifestyle, and then they would kind of fade away because we didn't have any way to really keep them informed and grab a sense of community as well. It was just, I met these famous people and I got excited, bought their books, and now my family and others are revolting against those ideas, and so I'm just back to the lifestyle that I had, not basically being any healthier than they were initially. And then COVID happened and we went to the virtual platform, but we set it up in terms of two groups of 11-week sessions per year, one in the spring, one in the fall. Maybe you can take it from there.
Yeah. So, and that's what we call the Healthy World Vitality Plan.
Okay.
And it is, you talk about wellness. And I think for us, what that means is living the most vital life you choose to live. And it's really people's choice how far they want to go with it. But it's a small group program, and it operates, as Don said, over 11 weeks. And the intent with these groups is both education and support. So with each of these groups, and so we'll run, we might have 5 or 6 groups operating each round in spring and in fall. And each group has a trained coach, and that person works not on a one-to-one basis, but they work with the group as a whole and help people become peer coaches of each other. And what we find is that community, the strength of having people supporting each other, holding each other accountable, if you will,
Yes.
and just kind of cheering each other on is a much more powerful way for people to become, to make the commitments and stay with the commitments they want to make around wellness.
Right.
And these groups, sorry, we're distracted because we have a dog that's
It's okay.
active.
You're going to take her into a side room.
That is A-okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so there is a curriculum that people learn, and they learn about these 5 lifestyle factors of nutrition, exercise, restorative sleep, inner harmony, and community. And we find that those are those factors. If people can make those a part of their lives, they have a good life and their health improves.
Yes. I think a lot of people don't realize the importance of restorative sleep. People don't realize the importance of sleep. And if you can get sleep, there's a lot of things you can accomplish.
Absolutely. And yeah, well, I didn't realize. I mean, I think I deprived myself of sleep for the first 60 years of my life, because I just really didn't recognize the importance of it. And now I do.
Yeah.
And so and we've learned so much about that and all these factors. And so we, people actually study the curriculum between the weekly meetings, and we have a workbook and those kinds of things. And then the group time is for them to process what they've learned with each other and to really take it in the way that works for them.
Right. Yeah. That's amazing. And so what has been, as you've learned, as COVID has happened, and then the different type of students that you have, what has been some of your success stories? You guys have your own success story. Well, back to hear, hey, you didn't believe Don, and you're like, you went to the director of the hospital. Hey, can you read this? What has been some success stories that you have, witnessed and experienced, given back to you?
We get letters and emails fairly often from people saying, this really changed my life. I've reduced my need for certain medicines, or in the case of diabetes, it's gone into remission, that kind of thing. And that's from a human physical health perspective. But, we go into all kinds of other factors. I think, Bev, did you mention all 5?
Yes.
Yeah. Of what we call lifestyle medicine. So just 2 weeks is nutrition, then 2 weeks for exercise, 2 weeks for relaxation or stress reduction, 2 weeks of sleep, restorative sleep and 2 weeks of community. But it all coalesces together, and each of those 5 factors support a whole healthy lifestyle. And they're led by a coach who encourages them to become co-coaches of each other by the end of the 11 weeks. So they're not dependent on the coach. The coach, him or herself, and it's usually herself, is living the lifestyle, whole food, plant-based lifestyle. So she's credible to the people, and we get letters all the time. And we're also recommend oil-free, based on, in other words, don't be cooking with oil on it. Because one of our members, she's been vegan, if you will, for several years. And she said, I just can't drop the weight and all that. And we said, well, we asked, based on the recommendations of the doctors and whatnot that have led us, is that you drop the oil. In other words, don't cook with it, don't put it in your salad dressings, and on and on. She said, that was it. She said, because oil is 100% fat. And even though it's plant-based fat, canola oil or whatever, olive oil, it puts the weight on. And so things like that. And so she's walking around much more slender and vibrant and healthy. And it also does damage to the interior lining of your arteries.
Right.
So
I have a question. So if somebody dropped the oil, what would they add? That's
Yeah. You mean, how do you cook without?
Yeah, like the ghee or like what?
Yeah, well, yes. I mean, you use the whole food.
Okay.
And it depends on what you're doing. Like if it's baking, lots of times you can use applesauce, believe it or not, instead of oil.
Okay.
Or like a prune puree if it's if you need to grease a pan.
Right.
I'll take an avocado skin and rub it on the pan. And avocados are an oily fruit, but you're getting whole food. Sometimes it's what's called aquafaba, which is the juice that comes from cooking beans.
Yes.
So you learn all these little tricks, but really you find out, oh, I didn't need that after all. But, you talk about success stories. Weight loss is a huge one that people tell us.
And that's eating as much as you possibly can, because you're eating high fiber but low calorie food. It's very big.
Yeah. The biggie, people report all the time is they get their lab results and their cholesterol dropped 50 points and their blood pressures come down and their GERD has gone away, and all of these things that are sort of chronic symptoms that come from our lifestyle, and all of a sudden they're gone. Lots of times they've had chronic pain and the pain goes away. So it's it depends on the person and kind of what they're dealing with, but it does make a difference. And I think the interesting thing is, even with that reinforcement that comes from your own health and feeling better, sometimes that's not enough to keep people engaged. And that's why because there's so many forces to the contrary.
Yes.
It's just on the nutrition front, not to mention exercise and everything else, but because there's family traditions, there's holidays, you go to a restaurant and you think, what am I going to eat here?
Right.
All those kinds of things. And that's where the small group community support is so powerful.
Yeah.
And we get people who join all the time and say, well, no, I've been eating this plant-based way for a while, but I'm the only person I know, and it's so lonely.
Yeah.
And so I just, I don't need to learn how to do it. I just want to be around other people who do it and will support me.
Yeah.
And So that's the other and in many ways the most powerful thing I think about what we do is to provide that space for people who are committed to their own health. They want to they want to learn, they want to do what's best, and they just need some other people around them to support them.
And sometimes the other people around them is in a virtual sense. We have people back on the East Coast, a whole contingent in California. But we are a virtual community, and we do monthly programs where we literally have really good speakers come in and talk with us for an hour, about what they do in terms of medicine or other lifestyle factors. And it gives them that sense of community. And many people actually have taken this 11-week course, which we keep improving and evolving the curriculum. They've taken it 3 times, 4 times, whatever, because it's real dynamic. And you get to know these people, and we don't record any of those 11-week episode things. So what is shared in the community stays in the community, and it's an intimate kind of thing. People say, well, I have this cancer, I have this, I have that. And it stays within it, but then you get to trust them. So if you're about to fall off the wagon, you say, I don't know what to cook tonight, I'm just the hell with it. And they give Sally a call, even if she's in the next state, and say, hey, Sally, I need some help here. And they'll say, okay, try this, try that. And if they happen to live in the local community, no, I don't want to exercise today. And they'll say, get your butt outside. I'll be over there in 10 minutes with tennis shoes. And so people rely on each other.
That's amazing. Yeah, that it's community is big. I think we lost community, but we gained it in a different way, COVID. But I know like I went plant-based during COVID, and then I moved away from more of a metropolitan area, and I'm now in a rural area, and it's easier to maintain that lifestyle that when I then go back up to the metropolitan area, it's harder. Um but I feel better when I'm on the land, when I hear the cow. I just feel better when I'm connected and I can eat. I'm very mindful of what I put into my system. And to the point of if I put something in my system that has no business being in there, my body will instantly tell me.
Right.
So it's interesting. When I'm listening to it, I'm like, oh, I would want that because even for myself, because I can go somewhere with people around where I'm at right now, and they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I can have walnut spaghetti, right?" Like, and they're like, "What?" And I'll make it for them, and it's not all plant-based, but they'll realize, "Oh, it tastes just like spaghetti." And I'm like, we're programmed, our palate is programmed thinking that we need meat, and we don't. And so, it's just interesting. Sometimes it gets lonely when you're talking that way and you're living this lifestyle and nobody else is living it. So I enjoy the idea of the community and being able to have those resources there because you can see a difference spiritually, mentally, physically. You can see a difference in your labs and just showing up in the morning, restful sleep, you know.
Yep.
And so, yeah. Oh, that's nice.
No, it's huge. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. You represent that. You look good.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. No, thank you. I just had a bad eating experience and my body's like, "Oh, really? Is that what you want to do?" And I think that we need to be more in a relationship with our bodies. And I think that from a mental health perspective, it's just how do you get back into relationship with your body? And I think what you're doing, that 11-week program is really important because it like I just was talking to Bev when you walked away, restorative sleep, people don't understand the importance of sleep
Yeah.
and
Right.
just everything, if cortisol is high and you're getting sleep and you're, going into REM, people don't understand. And I think that we need to unplug in so many different ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just for your viewers to know, our next round begins in the fall, September 7th.
Yeah.
The week of September 7th. And all they have to do is go to hwvitality.com.
Okay.
So it's $40 a year. You get access to all of our archives. And I mean, it's the best deal in town. And all of our coaches are volunteers, but they're living the lifestyle. So they're very credible. They're not sort of living it. They are living it.
Yeah.
And, we call it consistency. It's not religion, as Bev had asked me when we first met. It's just consistency.
Oh man. So Don, can you say that website again so people can
HW, that stands for Healthy World. HW Vitality, VITALITY.com. And they can go on there and they say, oh, yeah, that's what you're doing. And we have some testimonials in there, video this and that, from some of our coaches and others that will get people psyched if they're not before going there. And then they join. And yeah, and we love it. And it's just our way of paying it forward, if you will, much like what you're doing. You try to leave the world a better place than you found it.
Yes.
And it's our responsibility to tell people what the optimal is. Here's the optimal. And, some people can just make that turn like overnight, which I did and Bev did. But other people but she's become an excellent whole food plant-based cook. Wonderful. Other people, they just say, well, I need to kind of move towards it. And we celebrate that too. But if you adopt a less than optimal, we just want them to be aware, do not expect optimal results.
Right.
You'll get incrementally better results.
Right.
But the optimal, which will show up in your blood work and so forth, and your psychological well-being, the optimal will give you optimal here as well as from head to toe, literally, your brain, the whole circulation, the communication with your gut bacteria, the microbiome through the vagus nerve you will become, what I've observed in people who shifted is people have kind of hard edges, square edges on their personality. They literally become rounded. They become more mellow, more, because of the different bacteria that are thriving in your gut, lower intestine, which then sends communications directly up to your brain through the vagus nerve, and you become a little more mellow. Yeah.
Well, and from a mental health perspective, there's research to support this, but also our folks will report it that, I've struggled with depression, my whole life, and it's gone now. And so that's pretty powerful. And, again, you can't guarantee that's going to happen for everybody, but it does happen for people.
They become friends with your gut buddies. Feed them the right food, which is no meat or dairy or fish, just whole foods, plant-based, and your gut buddies are happy and they evolve. Your whole microbiome changes in your gut.
No, and I think all of the 5 factors, it's not, nutrition is it, but as you said, Marsha, sleep is huge. Relationships are huge. Exercise is huge, and then calming, whatever you do to relieve stress, all of those things. And so we try to be people focus on nutrition because it's kind of the biggest hurdle. I think for a lot of people, it's culturally the biggest gap between how we live as Americans and how people think and how we suggest people live, because it's just our culture and has been human culture for many, many years.
Right.
And so even as the groups focus on these other factors of sleep and exercise, it always comes back, and people always want to talk about what they're eating. And so we do that and we honor that. Yeah.
A little anecdote on the side, and you probably heard this. People say, well, I can give up the meat, but I can't give up the cheese. And the reason they can't give up the cheese, if you want to read a great book, or your listeners, read The Cheese Trap by Dr. Neil Barnard, The Cheese Trap. And he talks about literally what's in cheese is the concentration of what is in milk, which are casomorphines, caso being related to cheese. But the casomorphines literally are in the cheese and they attach themselves to the same receptors in your brain as opiates. So it literally is addictive, the casomorphines. So you just drop it, and voila. A lot of and then the whole weight issue and everything else goes away as well.
Right. Well, you guys have dropped so many gems. Is there anything you guys would want our listeners, the listener, to walk away with? If they took one thing away, right? Because you've dropped so many golden nuggets, what would you want them to walk away with?
Hope, I guess, is what I would say. That wherever you are in your life and health journey, that you can make it better, and that it's possible with both good information and good support from people who care about you. And that's what we do try to provide. And so I think sometimes people just give up, and they just feel like, well, this is it for me. I'm going to, I'm on that downward spiral in my life. I'm whatever age I am, and it's all downhill from here.
Right.
We have people who join at age 80, 85, and things still get better for them. So I would say a sense of hope and optimism that life can get better, vitality can get better, and join us.
Join us at hwvitality.com. But it is true. All 5 factors meld in because you become part of a community. And we've been mistrained all our lives. I grew up on a farm in Colorado. It's like, but we don't have to, we're not captive of our earlier mistraining, if you will, cultural mistraining. And all of us have the capability of learning. So let's apply what we now know, and live a vigorous, healthy life. Then when you get around 100, 105, you can expect to die, of course. But how about if you're vigorous up till, 3 to 5 weeks before you die, and you haven't had a chronic degenerative disease because you haven't had 80 to 90% of the preventable chronic conditions that afflict people who are eating meat and dairy and standard American diet, SAD. They're eating that, and it's like they're eating the optimal food. They're embracing their neighbors. They're doing all the other things that you can do to live a vigorous, healthy life, and then you die. But let's make it a vigorous path to that ultimate end, which we're all facing.
Well, and the one other thing I would say is joy. Our groups and the people that participate are joyful. People have a good time. They laugh together. They celebrate each other. And so it's not, sometimes we think about, health improvement is a grim subject. I just have to work at it, and we're like trying to whip ourselves into doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Our groups are celebratory, and people really experience that joy. So hope and joy, these are good feelings, and that's what we would hope people would take away.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule. And I know I'm going to call you guys back because I'm going to look into it and I'm going to join. And, what you're doing, I thank you guys. I really do. And, is there anywhere else they can find you, or is that your website that they can find you at? Is there any other places that you guys are?
We do have a Facebook page called Healthy World Vitality Plan. And so things show up there. But the website is the best
That's the
place
best.
to
Okay.
get the.
And then we do, as we said, monthly programs with luminary people. We have a cooking demo by Nafisa Tower, and she's the wife that's an excellent Indian cook. So we tell people not only the biological facts of a healthy human lifestyle, but we show them how. And she's showing some wonderful Indian cooking coming up next Thursday,
August 7th. Yeah.
August 7th. Yeah.
Right. But and we have a book club and a podcast club and a film club. So other opportunities for people to get together. So, but all of that they can learn about on the website. So.
Okay.
So,
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you. We're honored to be on your program, and people should feel free to contact us. I guess that's the other thing. Either Don at healthyworldsedona.com or Bev at healthyworldsedona.com. Just send us a note if anybody has questions.
Or info at Healthy World Sedona.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
And keep doing what you're doing too, because you're doing a lot of good in the world.
you.